In closing, I just want to let people know that this is not USA bashing. It's system bashing. And it's bashing a system that deserves to be bashed. Uh, the United States is supposedly the leader of the world. So, of course, they get the majority of the blame for everything. But really, they're no different than France or England or India or wherever my Facebook friends or my YouTube friends are watching from. Uh, the system is flawed, and the system is worldwide. And it's time that as a as a as the human race that we all come together and we all transcend the color and ethnic and gender barriers and really try to make this a better world for ourselves, for our children, for our grandchildren. And the best way to do that right now is to transition into a resource-based economy. And the transition of the resource-based economy may be the toughest era on this planet. It could possibly be the worst of times to transition because people are going to fight it. People have been, for lack of a better word, brainwashed into our current system. And it's not, I don't want to use the word brainwashed. They've been assimilated or conned into believing certain things that aren't necessarily true. And it takes a while to change that. It takes a while to wake some people up. Sometimes it takes a little thing like a protest march. To give you an example, I was at a protest for cuts recently in Florida to the developmentally disabled. 300-400 people at one, 60-70 people at other. They got a little bit apathetic after 1 week, but it changed. The cuts that they made were reversed, and they were reversed because the people did it. The people stood up. The people said, no, these are the most vulnerable people in our system, and you are not going to mess with them. And the people won for now, but I'm sure there'll be another fight later. But the one point I do want to make is that how I promote the Zeitgeist movement and the Venus Project and a resource-based economy is I tend to look at all the different protests that are going on. And they're all the different protests always revolve around money. They always have something to do with money. You're cutting my funds. You're cutting my programs. I'm losing my job because of it. And, we don't want to fall into the trap that every politician in the world falls into now. Nothing is ever fixed. It's always patched or has a Band-Aid put on it. But when your entire system is flawed, that's where you have to look at. To give you a good example, you can put new seats, new paint, fancy tires on a POS car, and if it doesn't have a good engine, it still ain't going anywhere. And that is what the monetary system is. The monetary system is that nice, pretty, dressed-up car that goes nowhere. It basically sits in the yard, looks pretty, and sits on some blocks. Especially here in Florida, there's a lot of cars on blocks, but usually in front of a trailer. But hey, that's a whole different story. But we can't allow the system to continue the way it is, because if it continues the way it is, it's all bad. It's the system that we use now is not going anywhere. There is no foreseeable future for it. It is not sustainable. Survey after survey, study after study says it's not sustainable. Yet we keep doing the same things over and over again. And I'm sure you've all heard it. The definition of insanity is doing the same things over and over again and expecting a different result. Well, we've been doing it for 40, 50, 60, 70 years. And you know what? People just have become so apathetic that they ignore it. And we can't. We can't as a society, we can't as a people, we can't as a race ignore it any longer. And with you being the Zeitgeist Movement and the Venus Project, and me being the Zeitgeist Movement and the Venus Project, we are the ones that have to go out. We have to spread the word. We have to show people that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And the light at the end of the tunnel is an RVE, and it is the Venus Project. And I believe that 100%. Actually, I'm not even going to use the word believe, because believing is, the definition of believe is to hold a tenet regardless of proof. So I know that the Venus Project and the Zeitgeist Movement and a resource-based economy is the direction we need to go as a people and as the human race. So everybody get out there and tell your friends, and be nice about it, and don't argue with them. And you can't argue with ignorance. Always remember that. And you can't argue with opinion. If somebody asks you a question, answer it. If you can't answer it, research it and get back to them. If you can't find a viable answer and you've researched it, then they have brought up a good question. And, like everybody says, it's not going to be perfect. There is no perfection. It's not going to be perfect. However, it'll be worlds above what we have now. So thanks a lot for your time. I'm a little long-winded, and I'm going to edit it down and see if I can't edit some of the ums and ahs out of it and make it a little shorter for YouTube. But I'll have a good day, and thanks for your time.